Hi, everybody. Sherry Rosenthal here. Very excited to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is the wisdom of Tibet and the Dalai Lama. And I have a very dear friend with me today, Lisa Tully. She's the owner of Lisa?
Spiritual Backpackers, India.
Yes, and she has incredible wisdom to share with you guys today because she runs the most amazing spiritual journey, and you guys must hear what she has to say and what she has to share with you today. So let's start out, Lisa. I'd love you to introduce yourself to everybody because I don't think any, at least of my database, knows who you are, and they would love to hear a little bit about how did you come to start this company and this tour, and just a little bit about you in general, if you would.
I'm more than happy to, Sherry. Thank you very much. I'm originally from Ireland myself, and I moved over to London when I finished university, and I went straight into the corporate world. And I stayed in the corporate world, I'd say, and about 7 years in total. But during that time, I'd say within the last 2 years of that role, I started to meditate. And I started to meditate on a daily basis. And the more I meditated, the less I was able to fit in with the corporate world. I really started to become more like a square peg in a round hole. And with the times that are changing, so much is changing right now with the economy, and the company was going through one merger after another, one restructure after another. And it just got to the point where it was just one restructure too much for me. And I decided to just hand in my notice and see how things would go by me creating my own business. Times were tight, definitely were. I had a little bit of money, and what I bought with that money actually was a ticket to India. Because of all the change that was going on in my life, I really felt that I needed to go and see and hear the Dalai Lama's wisdom in India for myself. So I went to India, and I did that. I went to Dharamsala, and I spent a wonderful month there with the Dalai Lama and some Tibetan monks that are my dear friends now. And on that trip, I got such clarity about what is important in life and what I want to do in life, and it certainly wasn't the corporate world. It was to do more work like this. Yeah, it was to do more work like this. And when I got back, I realized it's time to do something that's different and enable people to have the opportunity to draw upon the Dalai Lama's wisdom and take it back into the Western world once they come back from their holidays. And that's how the whole idea was born.
Wow, that's a pretty intense story. And I can understand, because in starting Journeys of the Spirit, I went through my own path of being a physician, selling my practice and everything, and then going on a spiritual path for 8 years. And part of that was creating Journeys of the Spirit in sharing spiritual journeys with others. And I think we have to do what is deeply in our heart and share what people need. They are so adrift and suffering right now, especially in this current situation that we have going on worldwide economically. So I have a question for you, Lisa. I am dying to know, what is it like to be in the presence of the Dalai Lama? You have got to share a little about that with us, please.
No problem. My absolute pleasure. To be in the presence of the Dalai Lama is one of the best things I have actually ever experienced. The first time that I actually saw him right in front of me, just a few feet away from me, I just burst into tears and I just fell to my knees. And I was so taken aback by the reaction I had of when I saw him. And all the other pilgrims, all the other people were, in total devotion around him and watching him walk by. I could barely hold myself together. And it wasn't until after that had happened that some of my Tibetan friends said to me then, they said, "Oh, Lisa, how was it when you first saw the Dalai Lama?" And I explained to them what happened, and they just laughed. And they said, that's what happens a lot of people, and usually a lot of Tibetan people as well, when they see the Dalai Lama for the first time, they're so overwhelmed. And I just had such an incredible sense of, I have finally come home. And it was so moving. And now, to this day, every time I see him for the first time, if I haven't seen him for a while, the tears will just flow. And I feel that every second I spend in his presence, my heart is just opened more and more and more and more. And he just holds you so strongly in your energy. And when it's time for him to go, it's so sad to say goodbye to him, because you just don't want that energy to leave. You just want him to hold us forever.
Oh, that brings tears to my eyes. I love the Dalai Lama. I love his teachings. I've read several of his books, and I just think what he's doing in the world is amazing. And this trip is the trip that you have created, and you're going to have to talk a little bit about that, because a lot of people who are listening don't really know about your trip. So why don't we start there? Why don't you share with all of us, we know that you left the corporate world, but how did you come to actually create this very specific experience that you've custom crafted? And can you share a little bit about what people will learn and experience deeply on this trip? I'm very curious.
Okay, so well, I think the first thing is to explain them how it came about, why I designed the trip in that specific way. When I went on my trip to India to see the Dalai Lama, I missed out on a couple of different things that I would have liked to have been able to attend, because it was a time of year when certain places were closed down due to the winter. Meditation centers, different places you could visit and things like that. So when I was creating the tour, knowing what I experienced and what I wanted as a meditator and for a full Tibetan Buddhist experience, I thought, well, what would be my ideal trip if I rewind it back to when I was initially coming without knowing the area at all? What are the real gems that you want to touch on while you're there? And that's how I created the trip. So with the trip, the first thing really is that as soon as you arrive in India, you're greeted by me and also my other tour co-hosts, who are two Tibetan Lamas, Lama Puka and Lama Kalden. That in itself is an unbelievable experience, because these people have been monks since they were really, really young, like 6 years old. And they have been practicing daily, and they have learned how it is to be a happy person. That simple thing. They are genuinely happy, relaxed people. So from the moment you arrive, you start to, you're given the opportunity to just let the West go. Wow. Let go of that stress that we carry around with us, and ease yourself into India, the life in India that these people live. And they take care of us, including me. They hold us. They're just incredible people. And then what we do is we leave Delhi, and then we drive up the mountains up to Dharamsala. And Dharamsala is the home of the Dalai Lama in exile. And it is the home to most of the Tibetans, the biggest Tibetan colony outside of Tibet. And it is a wonderful, wonderful, special place with monasteries and nunneries and retreat centres scattered all over the hilltops, over the Himalayan hilltops. So we go there, and we spend the first couple of nights in a monastic guest house. So there's monks everywhere taking care of us, giving us yummy soup to drink, and it's really, really special. They show us their little monastery where they make their statues, and they have their prayer sessions and things like that. And for you, getting up there, getting into Dharamsala, and just being immersed in this Indian town with a massive Tibetan heart, with all the scenery all around you, you can really, really just breathe in the fresh air, the rejuvenation on all levels and all senses that this place gives people when they get there. And again, a lot of people feel like when they get to Dharamsala, and so many Westerners feel like, I've actually come home. This is where I feel most at home. So then we take you to see the actual Dalai Lama himself. We go down to his public teachings, which are held in his temple in Dharamsala. And I'll never forget that in one of my previous trips, there was one lady, she was working in the corporate world, and we were there on the first morning in the teachings, where you're surrounded by hundreds of devotees from all over the world, all walks of life. It was like a Tuesday morning, and she just looked at me, she turned to me, she said, "Lisa, what am I doing with my life?" She said, "It's a Tuesday morning." She said, look what these people are doing. Why can't I be doing what these people are doing?" And I just thought, that's exactly why I do these trips. To give people the opportunity to experience a different type of life. It doesn't have to be one certain way. And spending 3 days with the Dalai Lama, or sometimes the teachings are 2 days, sometimes 1 day, depends on his schedule because he's quite busy. But spending the time in his presence and listening to the wisdom that he has to share. He has such an incredible way of taking complex things and making them so simple for all of us to understand. So you can then take that wisdom and adopt it into your own life and get, real clarity on what it is that's important for you in your life. As a tour participant. And then after that, we do many things. We go visit the local area, see Bagsu Waterfall, Tibetan Children's Village, which was set up by the Dalai Lama's sister for all the Tibetan children that have come from Tibet, so they can have an authentic Tibetan education. We do Green Tara pujas as well with the monks, special pujas, which a puja is a Buddhist ceremony, which is done just for our group. And the benefits of a Green Tara Puja is you can set the intention of some area in your life that you want fast action to happen around. And that's why you can then get some real help in that area by attending that puja with the monks.
Okay, I want to make sure after you finish telling a little bit about the trip, I want to hear more about the Green Tara. So let's just put that on the table to remember, okay?
No problem. Yeah.
Please continue sharing about the trip.
Okay. And then what we do is we take you to a meditation center, which is called Tashita, which is up from the hills outside of the town itself, up in the beautiful forested area. It's so quiet. And this is a world-renowned meditation center. It was set up by the lineage of monks and nuns of the Dalai Lama in order to help the wisdom and the learnings of the Tibetan Buddhist world become more accessible for people who have, who use English as their way of communicating. And it was originally set up by Lama Zopa. And within that retreat itself, it's a silent retreat. So the beauty of a silent retreat is you don't have to, focus on other people. Yeah, if people want to talk about different things, it doesn't matter. You don't have to get involved. You can actually quietly sit there and just really reflect and not have to worry about entertaining anybody else. And the teachers on this retreat are just incredible teachers. They have such a deep understanding of the wonderful Buddhist philosophy. And again, they translate it and teach it in a way that we, as Westerners, can then start to incorporate it into our lives immediately. And they take care of us. They make sure that we learn the meditation at a pace that works really well for us. And we get the opportunity then to share and to explore the Buddhist philosophy that we learn in the afternoon when we have an opportunity to talk within groups. So that means that when we actually leave the meditation retreat, we not only have the ability to meditate on a regular basis, but we have tools and techniques and understandings in our mind that help us understand as people why we do things that we do, why we do the things that we do. Sometimes that they don't work and sometimes they do work. And we learn how to really analyze our behavior and become better people. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter if you have another religious background or no religious background at all. The Dalai Lama says that the Buddhist philosophy, the Buddhist teachings can be translated into any other religion or any other belief around the world. So rest assured, by going on this meditation course, It suits everybody, and everybody always gets so much from it. So much from it. Then after it is. It's really, really special. And the setting itself where it is just, again, up in the hilltop, so it's beautiful. And then after that, we go back down to the town after the 10 days, and Lama Puka and Lama Kalden take us as a group and bring us down to do what's known as a prayer flag puja, where we get the opportunity to hang the Tibetan prayer flags up outside the Dalai Lama's temple. And they do a special blessing on the prayer flags. And we write our names on the prayer flags. And the significance of that is that whilst our names are blowing in the wind, all of our fears and all of our blocks in our lives are being blown away. They're dissolving. So we end the trip on an absolute high. We've learned all these techniques. We've gotten rid of meditation. We've gotten rid of all of our fears. We've got clarity on where it is we want to move forward in our lives. So then we send, when it's time for people to go home, always they're shining from the depths of their heart outwards. It's a very, very magnificent tour. And it will help you really, really make big changes in your life. I've no doubt about that either.
I'm so excited, and this is what gets me so excited about, partnering together to promote this beautiful journey. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about Green Tara, and I know that there's a wonderful prayer that you could share with everybody to help them, and that they can do in preparation before this trip, or maybe even work with Green Tara to be able to manifest being able to come on this trip. Which would be
perfect idea, Sherry. Absolutely. Get out as many people as possible to see the Dalai Lama. Green Tara, I always say Green Tara is my girl. She's absolutely special. She's a Tibetan Buddhist deity. And what Green Tara represents is she is a deity that helps us with action. If we want swift action to happen in our lives, swift resolution, if we want a really powerful energy about certain projects or anything we want to happen, she is the deity that we can pray to by repeating the Green Tara mantra. The Green Tara she'll help in your business as well if you want to increase your business also. And her mantra is Om Tara, To Tara, Ture Swaha. Om Tara, To Tara, Ture Swaha. If we repeat that mantra 108 times a day for 30 days, consecutively, with something in mind that we want that energy behind, at the end of the 30 days, check and see what magic has happened in your life. If it hasn't happened by the end of the 30 days, simply be patient and do another 30 days and see what has happened then. And the trick to this is, we need to say it 108 times every day. If at night time we find that we've fallen asleep, even if it's just for 10 seconds, we have forgotten to do the 108 mantras that day. So we need to start the 30-day process over again. But she's magical. I've been working with Green Tara for the last year and a half. And the Dalai Lama always says, don't believe something until you've checked it out for yourself, even the word of the Buddha himself. He's always check. If you're going to buy gold in a shop, you always make sure it's good quality gold. So it's the same with this Green Tara. Don't take my word for it. Don't take the Dalai Lama's word for it. Try it out for yourself and see how it goes. And if you can, let me know.
All right. That is absolutely fantastic, Lisa. I can't believe how fast the time goes and sharing together. But, what I want to leave people with is that there are so many experiences out there, and for me, I know on a spiritual journey, there can be ones that have a lot of what I call woo-woo. So it's like people seeking a spiritual experience without really doing the transformational work. And the one thing I really want to express to everybody who's listening today is that this kind of retreat, especially where you have all of those days, the silent retreat and the classes to go deep inside and reflect, is something as Westerners we don't make the time to do. And to let people know that they are going to come away from a trip like this with deep transformation. And that is worth its weight in gold, because it isn't really about the woo-woo. I know having a great out-of-body spiritual experience is really cool, but the bottom line is, how can you ground a spiritual experience into creating positive change in your everyday life to make you a better person, to empower you to create the dream that you want in your life, to just be able to get out there and have beautiful relationships that are not based in need and want or guilt and shame and all of the things that we carry as burdens on us, to be able to let go of painful experiences in the past and to really see ourselves as that light of consciousness. And I think that this trip in particular is something that I feel very, very, I feel very good about promoting it, because it's something that I know is going to change lives. And for me, I don't want to just put stuff up on my website. I want to support trips that are going to help make people better so our world changes, because I know that we can all do a lot of work externally. Yes, it's wonderful to donate money. Yes, it's wonderful to volunteer. But we create our reality from what we project, and it starts at home. And if we don't change what is in here, if we don't work on what's healing in here, the world is not going to change. And I'm so appreciative, Lisa, of you creating this trip, because it's a trip of deep change and heart. And I just want people to know that and understand that about this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. And I think the real gem of this is in the East, spending time in the East, I really feel that they are the wealthy ones. Yeah, everybody says, oh, the West is the wealth, that's where all the money is. But the true wealth is the wealth of the heart. And these people, by spending time with them on a day-to-day basis and seeing how they deal with life, these simple things, is what really teaches us how to behave when we come back to the West on a daily basis, so that we're more beneficial for ourselves and the people around us. You know, and I'd love to give you a little example of, I was sitting in the monastery one day with the monks, and there's a little mouse that lives there, and of course Buddhists won't kill animals. And I was just like, oh, there's a mouse staying here with us as well. And they're like, yeah, and they were eating biscuits at the time, and they just broke the biscuit off and chucked the biscuit at the mouse. You know, and you'd never see such compassion. It's scary, but you'd never see such compassion towards all creatures. You know, and I'm not saying it's time for us to have mice running around our home, but there's a big lesson in there: live and let live.
Yeah.
You know, live and let live. And they teach us so much.
Lisa, I want to thank you so much for being here with me today and for sharing about the Green Tara. And people can rewind and hear the mantra and practice the gift that you've given us today. And if anyone has any questions, certainly to contact us, and we would love to help them be able to manifest this beautiful trip. So, Lisa, thank you so much for being here with me today and sharing all the wisdom that you have. And thank you for having the experience you had and for getting out there and changing your life so drastically and creating this beautiful opportunity for people. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Sherry, for believing. Thank you so much.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a
great
thank
you guys.
and awesome day.